Hello, good afternoon. You are watching the Technology Magazine show, brought to you by Technology Magazine, AI Magazine, Cyber Magazine, Mobile Magazine, Data Center Magazine, and BizClik. My name is Josephine Warbank, and we're here to bring you all the latest news, analysis, and opinions from the world of technology every 4 weeks. And joining me today is the editor of Technology Magazine, Marcus Law. Hi, Marcus. How are you doing?
Hi, Jose. I'm very well, thanks. And just before we move on to the rest of the show, just to mention very quickly that we'll both be at Tech Show London at the Excel tomorrow and Thursday. So if you do see either of us, then do say hello.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. I'll be mostly at the Data Center World stage and kind of milling about the booths. So yeah, it looks like a really good event. Really looking forward to it, actually. And also wanted to, before we get into the news and opinions, start by taking a moment to remind the audience that you can say hello by posting in the comment section below the show here on LinkedIn. Or if you want to get further involved, you can go and vote in our LinkedIn poll. Marcus, do you fancy sharing with us what the poll is this week?
Yeah, absolutely. So after the last few years, and particularly as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic, mental health apps have represented one of the most successful realms of mobile apps. In fact, in 2022, the global mental health app market size was awarded a $5.2 billion evaluation. And what's more, it's expected to grow even further at a staggering 15.9% compound annual growth rate from 2023 to 2030. So for this episode's poll, we wanted to ask you, where do you anticipate the most successful developments occurring in mental health apps? AI, metaverse and VR environments, or advancements in wearable tech?
It's quite an interesting one for this week, and I suppose it's three quite broad answers, and kind of ranging from kind of personal to professional and wider industries. Where would your vote go, Marcus?
AI, I think, a nice little opinion of mine. I like my AI stuff. So yeah, I think there's a huge amount of potential for AI in there. So we'll have to see later what our readers thought.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, looking forward to hearing what everyone votes for. So to open up the show, let's have a rundown of the latest magazines to hit our virtual shelves. And I would like to kick things off with Mobile Magazine, of course, which we released at the start of this month. And as you can see, Recruiting Symphony took the cover this month, and it was a fantastic interview written by Jess Gibson, and it was really interesting piece, really insightful into kind of Open RAN and the real pioneering work that they're doing in that sphere. So for this issue, I had the opportunity to speak to some of the industry's most influential pioneers, including Max Caballero Vieira, the SVP of Devices and Supply Chain at T-Mobile, Oliver Novakovic, the Technical and Innovation Director at Barrett Developments, and he shared the work that Barrett Developments is doing in the sphere of kind of smart home technology and how this is allowing them to create much more sustainable builds for the future, not just in kind of in terms of more higher price point smart homes, but in kind of full scale, mass scale deployments across the UK and beyond. So it's really, really interesting interview. And this issue was a real showcase of the latest developments in mobile innovation and many developments which we can anticipate in the very near future. And to this aim, we explored smart home tech, healthcare tech, and we did touch on kind of the future of AI and the metaverse in the kind of healthcare in the smart cities of the future. And also we explored the kind of top 10 leading remote workforce solutions that are on the market right now and the kind of the state of the things that are happening right now and how we can expect them to expand in the future as well. My particular highlight from the conversation with Max from T-Mobile is a really insightful discussion about what particularly sets T-Mobile supply apart, the unique challenges of the American market, and how the telco leader is meeting consumer demand while deploying innovation in the telco sphere, and it's evolving its supply chain to match. So, yeah, bit of a nerdy one, but really interesting interview. And Marcus, on to Tech Magazine.
Yeah, I'm really interested in your mobile magazine. So really enjoyed looking at it as much. Meanwhile, in technology, our March cover edition looks into Vision Story, looks into how the metaverse and VR is transforming the entertainment industry. So, of course, as viewers know, discussions around the potential uses of the metaverse are nothing new, with the world's biggest companies like Google, Apple, Meta, Microsoft each making significant investments in the space. And we report in here that research from Capgemini found that 93% of adult consumers surveyed are at the very least metaverse curious. But in the entertainment industry, there are signs that the concept of the metaverse is making its mark, prompted largely by the COVID-19 pandemic and the absence of in-person gigs and concerts. The metaverse has made its presence felt in the music industry, while there were early signs of metaverse concepts being implemented for fans at live sporting events too, such as the World Cup and the NBA. We also look, in the addition, at how, with the rise of remote working, organisations need to continue to protect themselves against spear phishing attacks. We hear from research by Deloitte, which points out how cyber criminals are adapting their tactics to attack people in their homes, which, of course, are now their offices too. These attacks are very much on the rise, and research by Avanti has found that about 3/4 of businesses have fallen victim of phishing attacks. So technologies like AI and implementing zero trust principles will be critical. And also in Cyber Magazine this month, we look at how to manage the new kind of threat when it comes to new technologies such as 5G, which of course is a topic close to Joseph's heart. New technology enabled by 5G is being adopted at a rapid pace, but while this will open up a number of opportunities, there are a number of obstacles to overcome for organisations to avoid being vulnerable to cybersecurity threats. And in cyber, we also look at the top 10 cyber companies in 2023, and our trailblazer for this month is Kevin Mandia, who's the founder and CEO of Mandiant.
That's fantastic and really interesting stats there. The 3/4 of businesses falling foul of phishing attacks is a really, really interesting one, especially, you wouldn't think it was that high from even an individual's perspective, but business-wise, yeah, really interesting. And the metaverse, obviously we've covered the metaverse, a lot in these kind of in the shows, but I'm surprised 93%. I would have thought it would have been quite a bit lower because adults with no real, taking a broader kind of poll of adults, it's interesting to see that those that might not necessarily have much to do with metaverse from a professional perspective would be interested.
Absolutely. I think some really encouraging signs, because while there's a lot of skepticism, the fact that people are at the very least enthusiastic and interested in it, it's a promising sign.
Yeah, be interesting to find out more about what avenues in particular they're interested in as well, whether that would be work or entertainment, as you mentioned, I can imagine would be the biggest one. I think we spoke about a previous piece that said, I think it was one of our polls actually around the World Cup time, if I remember rightly, that we said whether they'd be interested in, and it did come back really positively actually, that people would be interested in having these technologies as a bigger part of the sporting event. So yeah, no, really interesting stuff. And yeah, let us know what you guys think of the latest magazines as well. Do share your thoughts with us. And still to come after our break, we will be sharing the results of this month's poll and diving deeper in some of the tech news topics that we've covered over the last few weeks. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes, grab a cup of tea, and yeah, we'll see you shortly.
There is so much opportunity, and the organizations that figure this out, they've set themselves apart. My name is Kimberly Betts. I'm the global lead of DEI for consumer, both internally and externally facing for Deloitte. So the equity activation model is based on a paper we published about 2 years ago, and it focuses on 3 different spheres of influence. The most immediate sphere is the workforce, inside the 4 walls, so to speak, of your organization. The next sphere is the marketplace. How are you showing up as a brand for the markets you serve? And then the outer sphere is what we call the social sphere. So how are you using your influence as an organization to influence policy, to try to create outcomes that are more equitable for people who are marginalized in the communities in which you live and operate? Our clients are starting to create these connections between the different spheres. It's very satisfying to see those connections starting to be made. We're becoming much more connected, everything that we do in our lives. And so this is another product of how connected people are to what people are saying, what people are doing. what you say and what you do as an organization, they have to match each other. Otherwise, people start to detect some authenticity, which tends to erode trust from a consumer perspective and from an employee perspective.
Welcome back, everyone. It was a fantastic video. That was really interesting report as well. You can watch it in full on our websites if you're interested to find out a bit more about Deloitte's work in that sphere. And kind of tying in nicely to that, we wanted to use our news roundup for this month to celebrate tomorrow's International Women's Day and kind of showcase some of the pioneering women in technology who are really shaping incredible change right now. We also wanted to use this opportunity to shout out about March 8 and our kind of sister publication, who is hosting their live event tomorrow in celebration of International Women's Day. So if you want to find out more, you can find out more on their LinkedIn page. So Marcus, if you're happy to start off, why don't you kick us off with the latest news from Tech Magazine?
Absolutely. And firstly, really excited to watch March 8th's live show tomorrow. So firstly, ahead of International Women's Day tomorrow, in a story today, Technology Magazine is looking at some of the most common misconceptions surrounding women in the world of technology. So according to research by Women in Tech, women still only account for about 26% of people working in IT. And while this is an improvement from the figure of 19% back in 2019, much more work clearly needs to be done to get to a place of gender balance. So from the myth that women aren't interested in technology to the damaging claim that women lack the skills and abilities for tech jobs, we bust 4 common misconceptions and look at how they can be overcome. And another piece from Technology Magazine, this feature was just part of the March edition of Technology Magazine, which we saw earlier. We also look at some of the inspirational women who have made their mark on the tech, historically in the tech landscape. So from Ada Lovelace and the publishing of the first algorithm in 1842, to the pioneering work of women in the 1950s and 60s who enabled spaceflight, we highlight some of the women whose contribution has been critical to the world as we know it.
It's a fantastic piece, yeah, really, really insightful, and a lot of names and achievements I hadn't actually heard of myself, so it's a really fantastic read. So for Mobile Magazine, I wanted to share our recent roundup of the top 10 influencers for DE&I in the industry in 2023. There's some absolutely fantastic names in this list, some people that are making some incredible kind of creating charitable initiatives and not only acting as a role model for young women and people of different backgrounds who are looking to join the tech industry, but also have incredible marks within their own companies, which are some of the biggest in the world. So the 2 influencers that we chose to be at the top of our list are Laura Ortman and Adair Fox-Martin. Laura Ortman was appointed as Collegix's new CEO in 2022 by the company's board of directors, and she is their first ever female CEO. And as you know, she is known within the industry for holding D&I as one of her top leadership priorities. And within her work, she has already had an incredible impact on the company's gender diversity and kind of the diversity within their workforce. And also, obviously it's hard to track it as it stands, but no doubt that this will have had a phenomenal impact on the kind of wider industry at large and addressing these gaps that Mark's outlined in his story. So in an interview with Jamie Scotto-Cuatia of JSA TV, Orman explained, it was a really fascinating interview, one I'd recommend watching. She said that I want to set an example for my 2 daughters and girls who aspire to get into the technology field or business and leadership positions. They essentially can accomplish anything they aspire to in the future. And as it stands, Collegix's kind of work leadership team, I believe it's either 50% or above women already, largely thanks to her work and her influence. And it's a really fantastic sign of what's to come and what we hope and what we aspire to be the next step within the industry. And in the top spot, we featured, as you can see pictured, is Adair Fox-Martin. At the start of this year, Google promoted the former head of its international cloud business to the role of president of Google Cloud International. And Fox Martin is renowned for extensive social entrepreneurship work. In addition to being the global executive sponsor, in addition to being the global executive sponsor for Google Social Enterprise, she's also the founder of 1 Billion Lives and serves as the global by social ambassador for Social Enterprise UK. For those of you who aren't familiar with the enterprise, the 1 Billion Lives initiative helps organisations across the world to build and develop impactful social ventures. And yeah, they're doing some fantastic work in that sphere. So secondly, I wanted to share a story that was one of our highlights from Mobile World Congress this year. Mobile Magazine and Technology Magazine were delighted to be media sponsors of this year's event, which took place last week in Barcelona. And yeah, it was a fantastic event, and it was everyone really came out in full force. It was a fantastic insight into the industry and what we can expect to see in the next few years. So I wanted to share our highlights from the MWC 2023 GLOMO Awards, and in particular spotlight the winner of the Diversity in Tech Award. This award is designed to celebrate the work of individuals who are championing equality, diversity, inclusion, and human rights, both in their company and in the technology industry at large. And this year, the winner was Eugenia Jordan, who is a CMO at the Telecom Infra Project. As you can see her pictured there. She's renowned as a leading DE&I influencer, innovator, and leader, driving improved reputation and equal opportunities for women in tech. And in her heartfelt post in which she announced the award win, Jordan mapped out her phenomenal career progression from being born in communist Russia in 1970 to starting out in telecoms as a receptionist back in 2001, and before rising the ranks in marketing to her current CMO position, really at the top of the industry. And she said that this award is for every woman who's told she's too loud, too much, and still spoke up. This award is for every underrepresented that were told they could not be or do something and still pushed through. And this award is for every underrepresented who believe that their voice can make a difference and they can build a movement. So I thought it was a really fantastic story to share. And, it was a really wonderful addition to this year's GLOMOs, actually. So that's it for the news. And to finish this week's show, I wanted to conclude by taking a look at the results of the poll. So Marcus, could you tell us how it went on LinkedIn?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got the results in front of me now. Just as a reminder, our question was, where do you anticipate the most successful developments occurring in mental health apps? So the answers were, in first place, AI with 58% of the vote. In second place, advancements in wearable tech with 32%. And finally, with 11% of the vote, metaverse and VR environments. So AI coming out on top by quite a margin. Joe, you asked me earlier, what do you think?
It's I'm surprised AI had such a leap. To be honest, my bet was on wearable tech, because we covered this in Mobile Magazine recently, kind of the leading mental health apps that are out at the moment. And a lot of them are kind of meditation oriented, and kind of a lot of them are, now I want to get CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, linked. So it's about kind of finding independent ways to kind of manage stress and recognize symptoms and address them. So the wearable tech, kind of with the heart rate monitor and the kind of better monitoring of your vital signs, I think that's the phrase, was kind of where I would have voted. But it's really interesting with AI. There was one, and I'm not going to remember the name now, but there are a few companies that are using AI to kind of help patients better diagnose themselves and kind of find more accurate solutions for their symptoms. So that's really interesting. Yeah, Marcus, do you align with AI? Do you have any predictions for this kind of sphere?
Yeah, I think as you rightly highlighted, a lot of interesting spaces. I think quite the margin of the vote for AI perhaps surprised me a little. Like you said about wearable tech, a lot of practical real world applications for that. So, but in any case, a lot of exciting things, and clearly the market is one that is growing, and it'll be exciting to see where it goes.
It's really interesting. And interesting, doesn't seem to be much kind of scope for metaverse waiting rooms and metaverse doctor's appointments. Well, obviously, 10% still, but it's it'd be interesting that AI is in such a high proportion of the votes. So that's really interesting. So that's all we've got time for this episode. Thank you so much to everyone that tuned in watching, and we'll see you again same time next month. And again, thank you for interacting with us if you're watching live, taking part in the poll. And also, you remember that the show is available to watch in demand if you're interested. So share it with anyone who you think might be interested in tech and our discussions. And so all I have to say is thank you so much to Marcus, Daisy, Ernie, the rest of the video production team, and everyone else who works on the publications behind the scenes. And this has been a BizClik production, and we will see you next time.